welcome back to the show. Everybody gathering around the holidays, families getting together, and let's be honest, around the holidays can be very stressful. It's stressful for families, extended families, and in particular it can be stressful for couples. And our next guest can help out couples with just that. We are joined by Chris Arnold, who's a resolution specialist and a collaborative family law lawyer and mediator. Welcome to the show, Chris. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
And we also have Valerie Morinville, registered social worker with Social Work Services. Welcome. It's great to have you here. And Chris, today we're talking about collaborative practice. Maybe you could describe what that entails exactly.
So it's a dispute resolution method. So it's just simply a structure in which separating or divorcing couples can discuss and resolve the issues that arise from their separation. So, and that's specifically outside of court.
Right. And how does it differentiate between something like mediation? Have you brought different pieces together for this practice?
It's similar to mediation, but instead of it being one neutral that's helping the couple talk, instead it's each of the spouses has their own counsel in the room that kind of do the same thing that a mediator would do, which is help the conversation stay positive and effective and focused, and sort of enforce some communication rules, because it can get kind of hot in there sometimes, some emotional. So yeah, it's different. It has the same goal, helping people resolve their things outside of court.
Right.
So what's the number one thing that you have to think about when going into mediation or collaboration as a couple separating?
That conflict is the thing that you're trying to avoid. But it's inherent in the fact that there's only so many assets to go around. There's only so much time with the children to divide up. There's only so much parenting pie to divvy. But the conflict is that's the toxin that will toxify your future relationship as co-parents. It's the thing that will cost you more than the dollars.
Right. And Valerie, why do you think the holidays in particular, around the holidays, before, during, and after, seem to be a higher percentage of perhaps people thinking about divorce and separation?
I'm not sure why there's more thought of divorce around the separation. We see it often after Christmas. People, especially if they have children, they often want to get through Christmas. And so, but they're thinking about it. And the holiday season is such an emotional time for people to begin with, that when you're in a relationship that's not working, things can escalate very quickly.
Well, I think also that there's some statistics that would suggest that Christmas is a time of, there's a peak in depression as well. If that already exists in the mix, that must have some kind of impact. And I think too that there's that sense of this is all about family, and if you feel like you have to step out of the family, and it just becomes you're living a lie, and it must be, do you find that's one of the things that you get told?
It's certainly, it's a heightened time. It's already, any divorce or separation is already so stressful to start with. If it's happening now, through now, it's just another factor that just makes it harder.
Valerie, as a registered social worker, what is your role when it comes to a collaborative practice?
So my role is to help the family. So basically how it works is each of the spouses has a lawyer who represents them and ensures that their rights are being protected, and helps to guide them towards this collaborative process and getting things. We want to have a healthy separated family at the end, but it's a very chaotic time. It's a very emotional time. So I work with the families as a whole. I don't represent either. It's a very neutral party, and I come in and I help the family. There's lots of emotions around, and so sometimes the emotions can get in the way of moving forward in the collaboration of dissolving the marriage. So my role is to help with the emotions. I also, if there are children involved, I help the family to create their parenting plan, so something to go forward. And in the meetings, I facilitate the meetings and kind of keep everybody on agenda.
Is there a standard to the parenting plan, or is it very individual?
It's very individual. We do have some kind of guidelines that we use, but it's so unique to each family, and it's really up to the family to come to decisions that make sense for them.
It's so interesting because we're both divorced and repartnered, and I had to go through a parenting plan, and I was really amazed at the things that you have to consider. Like Christmas on even numbered years, and Christmas Day on the other days, and just even last names, promising not to change a child's last name, living within 50 kilometers to create an access. Like the details are crazy, how it's really like a business transaction.
But actually, that's the value of the experienced professionals, right? Is that we've walked other clients through all of those disputes already, so we can anticipate it and then have you bring your mind to what if, what about when, and then you think about it, decide together, write it down, and then live it. So, part of what, if you like, our competition is the internet. People just going and downloading a separation agreement or a parenting plan, and we'll just fill in the blanks. It'll be awesome. We'll save a lot of money.
Not a good idea.
We'll save a lot of money, and potentially they do at the beginning,
Right.
and then they start to live it. Their separation agreement, their parenting plan, and they're in the ditch before they know it, and then digging themselves out. Not just the cost, it's the conflict.
Right.
And who's going to
Emotional
really pay
cost.
the price? It'll be the children. And so it's about, remember that ad, the Midas ad, it was about a muffler or something. It was like, you can pay me now or you can pay me later.
Yes.
Right.
It's way better to spend the time to do it right at the outset and build it well and have a great conversation when it's not tough. And then when you do repartner or new troubles come down the way, you've got something that's solid rather than just, we'll do it half, we'll kind of do it quick and dirty now.
Right.
And then when the problems arise later, it's way tougher.
Chris, when it comes to these resolutions and getting into this situation, finances, I think, oftentimes are number one on most people's lists. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there. We've all seen that old scenario where the guy's at the bar and he's going, she's fleeced me and so forth. There are things in place that make sure that doesn't actually happen as often as perhaps we think, right? Maybe you could just speak on that a little bit.
Well, certainly there's the law itself is something we pay attention to. Even though we're at a bargaining table and we kind of can do what the parties want, there's still parameters, in terms, there are people that want to give up support. That's for their counsel to tell them that they're entitled to it.
Right.
They don't have to get it. They don't have to demand it, but they're entitled to it. Often, the less advantaged spouse will say, well, I just don't want to touch his pension. You have to remind them, this is $200,000 or a large sum of money that you're not likely to come upon in the future. You have to think about your own retirement. So there's legal parameters that keep people from, at least that can remind them that they've got probably more power at the bargaining table than they might think.
And it's not wrong to assert those rights.
No, not at all. Exactly. And child support is a big one. It is what it is.
That's really quite rigid.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of play with that. People can again do what they want, but
Valerie, what's the best way to get in touch with you for the collaborative practice if somebody is interested?
We do have a website, collaborativepracticeottawa.ca. And then on the website we have a list of all of our professionals. And our professionals that are affiliated with us do go through a training. So they do have a couple of, I think it's 16 hours for the mental health professionals, because they're not all social workers. Some of them are psychologists or registered counselors.
Right.
And the financial people and the lawyers all do, I think it's a total of 32 hours, if I'm not mistaken, just to know how to proceed. So if they go on our website, they can look at all the different professionals, see what, who fits for them, kind of get a sense, and then contact us that way.
Yeah, it's certainly nice to have that choice. Thanks for joining us today.
It's a pleasure
Really
chatting
appreciate it.
with you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
being here. Don't go away. Next up, we have stylist, beauty expert Erica Work talking accessories. We'll be back with her right after this.